I have a bunch of 80s, 90s nostalgia books. Stick around to see which ones I got. What's good, YouTube? Empyre Comics here, back with a new video. And I just got my newest order in from mycomicshop.com. This one's full of 80s and 90s nostalgia properties. I think you guys are really gonna like this one. But before I get into the books, if you like hunting for low budget keys, weekly comic book hauls, CGC unboxings, new comic book spec buys, and 80s, 90s nostalgia properties, then hit subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. All right, this first one I got here is not really a comic book, super nostalgic to me. This was my childhood from like 6 years old to 12 years old, you know, mid 80s, early 90s, when all my friends were all into baseball, football, basketball, whatever. And yeah, I followed baseball for the most part, but I only watched it whenever my family was watching it. I was into wrestling, WWF to be exact. I was a huge wrestling fan, a huge WWF fan. I watched it religiously every Saturday at noon, every Sunday at noon, whenever they had a Saturday Night Main event. I was always at the video store renting the VHS tapes. I was subscribed to their magazine. And that brings me to this. My favorite wrestler was Macho Man Randy Savage. 1988 was like the pinnacle of my fandom of wrestling. He became the champion when he won that tournament in WrestleMania 4. And what I got is July 1998 issue of WWF magazine with Macho Man on the cover displaying his new championship belt. Man, this brings back so many memories. I had this book because I was subscribed to this. This was one of my favorite magazines. I held on to this for as long as I could. It took me so long to get this, to find one. It's a little beat up, but I don't care. Check it out. All right, let's get into the comic books. Nice little stack. All right, let's get to the first one. The first one we got is from 1991 Marvel Comics, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, issue 1. If you're not familiar, Bill and Ted was a movie that came out in 1989. They had an animated series that ran for 2 seasons that started in 1990. They had a toy line with it, and this was the first ongoing series. Now, for their first appearance, DC did release a one-shot that was based off the movie, and that's the actual first appearance. This is their first ongoing series. All right, this next one from DC Comics in 1988. It was Cops, Fighting Crime in a Future Time. It was an animated series that came out in 88. It did the basic format back then, which was an animated series, the toy line, and a comic book run. It had an animated series that ran for 2 seasons in 1988 to 1989. It had a toy line by Hasbro, and then it had this 15-issue comic book run from DC Comics. All right, this next one is from 1990, Marvel Comics Darkman issue 1. This is the first appearance of Darkman in comics. Darkman was a movie that was released in 1990. All right, this next one is dope. This one is from Disney Comics from 1991, Darkwing Duck issue 1. The first appearance of Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck ran from 3 seasons from 91 to 92. It also had a Playmates toy line, but everybody knows Darkwing Duck from the DuckTales and his own show coming from that Disney afternoon lineup. All right, this next one's from Marvel Comics 1981, Dennis the Menace issue 1. This isn't the first appearance of Dennis the Menace. I was a fan of the cartoon that ran for 2 seasons from 1986 to 1988. All right, this next one from Disney Comics, 1991's DuckTales issue 1. Now, it's not the first appearance of that cast of DuckTales. They had a miniseries that came out a few months before this. I forget the publisher. This is the first one by Disney. DuckTales was an animated series that ran for 4 seasons from 1987 to 1990. They had toys, video games, a movie. It was a big hit and I was a big fan. All right, this next one's from Marvel Star Comics, from 1987's Flintstone Kids issue 1. First appearance of the Flintstone Kids. It was an animated series that ran for 2 seasons from 86 to 88. All right, this next one's another one from Marvel Star Comics from 1985, Fraggle Rock issue 1. The first appearance of the cast of Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock was like a live action puppet series that ran on HBO for 5 seasons from 1983 to 1987. Then they had an animated series that ran for 1 season in 1987. All right, this next one from Harvey Comics, An Incredible Crash Dummies issue 1. Now, I don't know how many of you are gonna remember them. They first started as a PSA commercial for like wearing your seatbelt in the 80s. All right, this next one, I'm so glad I ordered it because it just jumped on a hot list for earlier this week on an app. I had this in my shopping cart for a minute. It is from Star Marvel Comics, 1987's Inhumanoids issue 1. Inhumanoids was a toy line that came out in '86, and right behind it, in '87, it had an animated series. I've been telling y'all since earlier this year, jump on them '80s, '90s properties, toy lines, cartoons, movies, video games. That's the next wave. All right, this next one's from Marvel Comics, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice from 1991, issue 1. Of course, this is their first appearance. King Arthur was a cartoon in the toy line that came out in 1992. All right, this next one's another one from Marvel Star Comics from 1988, Visionaries, issue 1, first appearance of the Visionaries. I think that's another one that hit the list, so I'm glad I got that one. It was an animated series in the toy line that both was released at the same time in 1987. The animated series lasted for 1 season. All right, this next one was one of my favorites growing up. This is from Marvel Star Comics, Muppet Babies from 1985, issue 1, first appearance of the Muppet Babies. Muppet Babies ran for 8 seasons from 84 to 91. It was one of my favorite shows to watch as a kid. All right, this next one's from Marvel Comics from 1989, Police Academy issue 1, first appearance of the Police Academy gang. Police Academy was a movie from 1984, but this is based off the animated series that ran for 2 seasons from 1988 to 89. All right, this next one is from Marvel Comics, Starios issue 1, first appearance of the Starios. There was a toy line that was released in 1984. All right, this next one's from Disney Comics from 1995, Toy Story issue 1, first appearance of the Toy Story gang. I got it just in time too, because they just released a trailer for Buzz Lightyear's new movie, which I didn't even know was coming out. This is based off the movie that was released in 1995. All right, this next one's from Wildstorm, Ninja Scroll issue 1. This is based off that anime that was released, I think it was in 88, 89. I didn't find anime till a few years later, but when I did, it was one of my favorites. All right, these last two are from IDW. This is Revolution issue 1. This is basically based on all the Hasbro toys. They made a joint universe, and I got issue 2 just because it was pretty cool. It had the mask crew with the Transformers on there. Fingers crossed that they come together and make a movie. I don't care if it's animated, live action, just put all of them together. All right, guys, that's all the books I have for this haul. Thanks for sticking to the end, running down memory lane. Let me know if you remember any of these titles. Did you watch the cartoons? Did you have the toys? Let me know in the comments below. But until next time, keep specking. Later.